The intended use of this podcast is for entertainment purposes only. The views and opinions expressed in this podcast are those of the host and guests independently, and do not necessarily reflect the official policy or position of Updog Challenge Incorporated, its sponsors, or any other partnered organizations. Updog Challenge Incorporated does not guarantee the accuracy or reliability of any opinions expressed. In no way should the information provided during the Sweet Spot and Updog podcast be considered veterinary, medical, legal, or professional advice. At all times, the advice of your personal professional should supersede any information provided, derived, or inferred from listening to this podcast.
Ready, set, go.
Welcome to the Sweet Spot, an Updog podcast. I'm Andre Morissette.
And I am Jack Bailey. We are happy to be here today. Happy to have you along with us. We got a cool Freestyle Skills episode. Dre, what is our Freestyle skill we are going to talk about today?
We are going to be breaking down two of our subcategories in the human category. We're going to be talking about throw diversity and difficulty and throw placement and flight. And both of those categories are closely related. And so we're going to talk about what the differences are. We're going to talk about all the bullets underneath. And I am personally really loving this series where we get to take a deeper dive into some of our score sheet subcategories. It just creates great conversation and opens up new ideas. And hopefully for you guys, it clarifies how you could expand and get your points, find your points for each of these subcategories. Little quarter point wins add up to a lot of points at the end of a round.
Oh, you just gave me an idea, Dre.
What?
You know how we're always saying find your points.
Mm-hmm.
We need to make a find your points sticker for UpDiff, trading sticker.
Okay, great. I'm putting it on my list. Find your points. Got it. I already have a whole list of stickers I need, so I will add this.
And I'll make sure we've got podcast stickers to give out at UpDiff. That'll be fun. I already have seen people posting. I got a text this morning, actually, from somebody that just got a sticker made. It's their first time coming to UpDiff. They're super excited. And so he was showing me the sticker that he got. He's like, what do you think? I'm like, looks great. That'll be fun.
Yep. Order more than you think. A lot of people are going to be trading.
So let's get back to it. All right, throw diversity and difficulty and throw placement and flight. So I'll just read off. We'll start with just reading off what it says on the judge's worksheet, because honestly, a lot of people don't even know what it says on the worksheet unless they've stayed after an event and gotten their worksheet, which we encourage you to do. You need to get those sheets from the judges. It's got a lot of good feedback on there for you, both numerical feedback and also should have some comments at the bottom as well. All right, so throw diversity and difficulty. The worksheet says handler rarely repeats the same grip/release. Right there, I know when I do the freestyle head judging course, we have questions right off the bat with that one. Good idea. Dre's grabbing this. So there is a difference between a grip and a release, and it's important that you know this as a judge. It's also important that you know it as a player, because you can have the same grip but lots of different releases, and that should still give you a variety of that should still give you diversity. That's what I was trying to say there. That should still give you diversity. Yep. Even if, say, you can't do one of the grips and you're stuck on maybe doing one or two of the grips, you can still have a lot of diversity. So, Dre, what's the difference between a grip and a release?
All right, so a grip is how your hand holds the disc. So this is your backhand grip for a right-handed person. Okay, and this is an example of a different grip, sidearm. So peace sign, sidearm grip. That's a different grip. Another grip, overhand wrist flick. Okay, so that's three different grips: backhand, sidearm, and overhand wrist flick. And so generally, if you have three different grips in your freestyle routine, especially as a new player, you're in great shape with three different grips. So if you wanted to focus, and most of our foundation training, our beginning seminars, our beginning freestyle seminars, these are the grips we're teaching: backhand, sidearm, overhand wrist flick. Sidearm and overhand wrist flick spin the opposite way of your backhand grip. And so they're really important to add to repertoire, because when you're throwing to the weak side of your body, which for righties is going to be if you throw to the left, it's hard to throw a backhand release that way and still keep an eye on your dog. So we use our reverse spin throws, or grips, the sidearm and the overhand wrist flick, as two of the most common ones to throw to the weak side of your body.
And those, like Dre said, creating the different spins. If you um, were to look at the dog worksheet under catch, it talks about the dog being able to catch with different rotations of the disc. So right there, if you are using different grips, you're going to create different rotations, clockwise, counterclock. So not only are you adding your points to this score, but you're adding points to your dog's score as well if they're able to catch these.
Yes. All right. So that's your grips. Now, releases, if we just talk about backhand, we'll talk about one of our grips. We have our regular backhand release, right?
Dre's getting up out of her chair, people.
Put the video on this one. We have an inverted backhand release. We have a behind the backhand release. We have under one leg. We have under the other leg. We have under a standing kicking under leg. We have a jumping under two legs. Oh, there's so many backhand variations, a billion. So backhand is where you're going to see most people's throws in that grip. And you could do an entire freestyle routine with just the backhand grip and variations and probably not repeat anything other than your basic floaters. For your out throws, you could have all different out throws with just that one grip. So if the only grip you know how to hold is a backhand, you can start there and you can still have great release variety. One grip, several different types of releases. So releases are just a variety in the same grip, and then grips are the way that you're holding the disc and the way it makes the disc spin. So hopefully that's clears it up a little bit.
Yeah, and I hope this also helps some of our beginner freestyle teams realize you can get diversity even though maybe you haven't mastered the other grips yet. If backhand grip is the only one that you right now feel comfortable throwing and can throw well to your dog, you've still got a bunch of variations that you can do with the backhand and still get your scores a little bit higher by having that diversity of releases going on. Not necessarily grips yet, but keep working on the sidearm, keep working on the overhand wrist flick, and add to your grips as well. All right, so the second bullet says that the handler integrates different releases and grips into their routine. That makes sense. It's almost repeating the same bullet as the previous one. Now, this next bullet I think is important too, though, and because I do see sometimes teams, even higher level teams that are scoring fairly well at contests and things, sometimes their strength is not in this area. But this is a place where you can find additional points sometimes. It says handler delivers difficult throws at various distances to their dogs.
Yep.
And it just says, for example, all long tosses should not be backhands. That example is there for a reason because we see it a lot. Because we see, oh, I'm doing all this fancy stuff, but I can only do it 2 to 3 feet. Like I can only do it up close or whatever. And then as soon as I throw a medium, like 15-yard toss, it's a backhand.
Yep.
So
people get toss and fetch experience, so they're used to throwing throw and go. Maybe they started in toss and fetch league and they're just branching into freestyle. So the backhand is our most common throw that you have the most practice with. So it makes sense you would want to use it as your long throw. However, if you do put the focus on to, let's say, just focus on your sidearm throw and maybe your staker release, which we can talk about what those are as long throws, and you just practice throwing those long, that can really elevate your freestyle routine. And both of those would be releases that are easier to throw long. So they have a lot of spin and they work really well in the wind. So if you're going to be testing out something other than a backhand throw, maybe ask someone who has more experience or put a comment in on the podcast on the bottom. If you don't remember what the releases were or what those throws look like, if you go onto the Updog discussion page, we have the 12 days of Discmas where we did talk about the staker throw, and I think we talked about the sidearm also. And so both of those releases are broken down on the website, on the group there, to teach you guys how to throw those longer. So
now on this, correct me if I'm wrong, but the staker would be an additional grip too, right?
Yeah. That one looks like this. I like to call it alien fingers because you start it with just these 3 fingers, and it's a weird grip, but it's really easy to throw. So the hardest part about this throw is getting the grip right. Once you get the grip right, the throw is really, really easy, and it is another advanced grip. So that would take you from backhand, then you'd have sidearm, overhand wrist flick, and staker. And staker also spins the same way as your backhand. So in my opinion, I like to have at least a couple of different grips that spin the same way. So you have sidearm and overhand wrist flick that spin opposite of your backhand, and then you have backhand and staker that both spin the same way as your backhand. And that way you have a potential of throwing long for either one. Now, I think it's harder to throw an overhand wrist flick long than it is a sidearm. So if for a new player, I would say, try throwing your sidearm and your staker as your longer throws as alternates to backhand, because both of those are going to be they're wrist snap throws, so they have more rotation. And when they have more rotation, they're more stable in the wind. And I think that most people avoid throwing long throws other than backhand because of the wind instability. They don't get enough spin on different grips. But those two tend to be easier to throw with a lot of spin.
Well, and like you said, the backhand is the throw that we probably thrown the most. If we
Yep.
ever, if when we were younger, if we were ever throwing a frisbee, we were probably throwing it
Yep.
backhand.
Picnic toss.
Yep. And if you're playing toss and fetch, throw and go, whatever, the up dog games, many times we're only throwing backhand, so it just makes sense that that might be it.
Yep.
But if you're looking to find that extra half point somewhere, this could be a place where you do it. All right, so let's go on to, so that's throw diversity and difficulty, and we're just going to run through throw placement and flight, and then we're going to kind of talk about how they interact together. So throw placement and flight. Dre, do you want to go over that one?
There's a lot of them, so how about we split them?
Sure.
All right, first one. Handler delivers throws that showcase their dog's strengths, leaping, quick turns, and speed. So you have to throw to showcase that the dog can do something well. I think that's important because when you're throwing a long throw, I know for sure, probably the first maybe 10 years of my career, I thought if the disc was out there and up in the air and catchable, then the dog should catch it. And that's just not the case. There's so many more layers than that about the height and the speed that you throw to solicit a nice leap from the dog. And then you get into shapes, interception, all that stuff. So there's many, many, many layers to how to solicit a really beautiful leap from your dog. And some of our dogs come out of the womb leaping like that, but your next one probably won't. So so you want to look to throw the throw, like it says, you deliver the throw that showcases the dog's strengths. If you have a dog that leaps beautifully, you want to find the height that you can throw that disc to solicit leaping. If your dog doesn't leap well at all and you throw that high floaty disc, you might get one of those pogo kind of jump landings. So it's important. I think this part is speaking to how we deliver the disc to showcase the way the dog jumps best or catches best versus just throwing it out there to be catchable, throwing it in a way that makes the dog's body move well as far as throw placement and flight. Because a lot of our vaults, flips, and stuff like that, the bad landings come from not putting the disc in the right place. So this speaks to that as well, not just out throws.
Oh yeah, for sure. And the last thing we talked about, last skill we talked about was care of dog,
Mhm.
and that
Directly impacts
flows
that.
right into that section.
Yep.
So
All
and
right.
the next one is definitely related to what you just said, Dre, if you want to just connect with that next one too.
Handler places discs in flight that allow the dog to intercept the flight of the disc rather than a simple linear pursuit path. Now, I can have a whole hour conversation about this because I love this conversation, and it's one of Jack's, I think, strongest skills. So if you've ever worked with Jack and you see his movement around the field and you want to know why it looks so cool, it's because of this. It's interception. So basically, and what I would do when I first started is at the end of my freestyle set, I would send my dog around and I'd throw a toss and fetch throw. And then I would run and pick up my discs, right? And that toss
You
and
and
fetch.
everyone else, Dre. It's not just
Yeah.
you, including me.
So basically, that toss and fetch throw is pretty linear. Like you're sending the dog around, you're getting it out right away. So the dog comes around and they get in a straight line right underneath that disc. And if they are a good enough tracking dog to be able to be in a straight line and be able to tell the speed of the disc and when the right time to catch and all that stuff happens, then they catch and they look pretty good. But for the most part, that's pretty difficult for a lot of dogs to catch in a straight line. If you create space between the line that you throw and the line the dog is running, it creates a shape, and that shape, the space between the disc's line and the dog's line, make the dog turn towards the disc. And when the dog turns toward the disc, they're no longer running in a straight line, they're collected. And so collected leaping is much safer and prettier, and takes less effort from the dog than one in a straight line. So we're actually looking for you to create interception with your dogs. If you've ever trained with Jack and I, you've heard us talking about shapes, using a pie wedge, moving the dog, throwing off the dog's line. All these are the kind of the words that we use to solicit interception. So we want to try and avoid putting the disc directly out in front of the dog that's running. We want to throw it either to the left or to the right of the line the dog is running.
And this is in the human category as well. So like
Mhm.
if you think about just the skill level between those two things Dre was talking about, one
Mhm.
is my dog is somewhere out in the field, probably doesn't even need to be like I don't even need to know exactly where they are if I'm just going to throw a really long one. Because if I just throw a really long one, it's mainly up to the dog to go find it and get it.
Yep.
Like I didn't really place it in a particular location to maximize that catch for that dog.
Right.
So you can see where the skill level would be less in that throw versus I eyeball my dog, I take a look at where they're headed, I look at where I can throw, I make the throw, and I place it in the spot where my dog's going to intercept it. That's a higher level of throwing ability. So you should get scored more, which is why we see it here. So,
Yep. All
all
right,
right.
next
So
bullet.
when you make those throws, next bullet on here says that the disc plate, I think we're talking about the face plate, the top of the disc, is approximately parallel to the ground during flight, and the disc should not be careening to one side or another in flight unless it's done purposefully, which sometimes it is.
Jordan
So
throws,
yeah,
especially, and air bounce
some
throws, rise a lot.
Yeah, and if you know about different throws and how they're thrown, you would know whether or not that was thrown purposely that way or not. Anheuser throws is another one that might be thrown purposefully. What we don't want to see here is just the fact that, like, let's say you've got a great catching dog that just happens to be snagging these crazy discs that,
Hmm.
are kind of slicing through the air and really aren't flying that great, but the dog is saving the handler's bacon the whole
Yep.
time.
Yep.
Um, that's great on the dog side. The dog side should be getting lots of points, right? But the human side, this you're going to take a little bit of a hit on your score here, and you won't earn as many points if those discs don't come out looking nice as you
Even
throw
if the
them.
dog catches it. And that's the
Right.
part. Like, it took me a really long time to understand that as a player, before Updog was created and we were playing freestyle, why my handler score wasn't better if the dog caught the disc. And I would just be like, if she caught it, I'd be like celebrating. I should have 1,000,000 points because she caught all her discs, right? And half the time she was saving my bacon or wiggling in the air, or it wasn't, it was wobbly or it wasn't placed really well. I just had a dog that had a ton of drive and athleticism. So there's a difference between placing it. And I would say look to see how hard your dog has to work to catch the disc. If it looks like they're hustling at 100%, you didn't throw it well. You really want like your maximum dog output when they're jumping, moving around to be like 80 or 85% of their maximum potential. If they're working harder than that, then they're exerting too much energy at one specific start in a freestyle routine, and they won't be able to do that for 2 minutes. And I think it has more impact on the dog when they're running hard, cutting really hard, landing really hard. It's more impact on their joints than if they didn't have to put that much effort into every single move for a 2 minute period of time. So the more interception we can create, the nicer flight plate being flat and easier for the dog to track, and it's not careening off to one side or another. It makes the dog work less hard, and it's ultimately less wear and tear on their body playing freestyle.
So the Dre kind of encapsulated this with her conversation there. I'm just going to read it because this is the official sentence on the
Mhm.
sheet here, but it finishes up to say a poorly thrown, difficult toss should not be rewarded over a well thrown backhand just because a catch was made. So in other words, if I'm out there throwing some crazy stuff, but it's slicing through the air and not flying well, but my dog just happens to sort of catch it at least in this subcategory. Now, we're going to talk in a second about the other subcategory, but in this subcategory, just because that dog caught it doesn't mean it was a well thrown disc.
Yep.
All right.
And the last
Um,
one.
yeah, the last one. Go ahead, Dre.
Throws or deliver so as to maximize the number of catches. Make it easy for your dog to catch.
Yeah.
All
All
right.
right. So
Dig into it. This is
those
exciting.
are those are the two descriptions of these two subcategories. But I find that these two subcategories are kind of interesting because um, you can have a player go out and get a really high score in one and a
Hmm.
low score in the other.
Mhm.
um, two different types of players. Like you might have a beginner player, let's say, go out and they've got a really nice backhand. They've got some different releases
Mhm.
and excuse me, maybe they have a sidearm or and an overhand wrist flick in practice, but they don't use it yet on the field because
Mhm.
it's not
They're not sure,
not
yeah.
not ready yet. They could still get a very nice throw placement and flight score because if they're throwing those interception throws to their dog, if the dog's leaping up and grabbing them, again, all these bullets, maximizing the number of catches, interception, horizontal faceplate to the ground, all of those things, even if I don't have super high diversity, I could still
Mhm.
get a nice score in throw placement and flight.
Yeah, it doesn't say anything in throw placement and flight about throw variety or difficulty. It doesn't say anything about difficulty at all. It just says
Right.
that it's thrown well, it's thrown flattish, it's thrown an interception, and it's thrown in a way that makes the dog look good and makes them able to catch it. So it doesn't have anything to do with the actual release other than the quality of the release.
Right. So I might get, let's say I might even get a 4 in that
Right.
category. But if that's all I threw were backhand releases and not backhand grips rather, and not a lot of different releases, where I wouldn't earn points then would be throw diversity and difficulty.
Yep.
And like I could literally get maybe a 4 and 1, well, a 4 and a 1.5 maybe,
Yep.
right? Like if all I did was
You're
throw
only throwing his
backhands,
backhand, yes. Yep.
yeah,
Now
then
that's just backhand. You
right.
could throw behind your back backhand, upside down backhand, do a fidget backhand, under a leg
Then I
backhand,
would,
other backhand, right? Yeah,
yeah.
and each one of those might boost your score by a quarter point that the, judge notices if you have four or five really well placed different varieties of the same exact grip, you can still score well in that category. You're not going to score as well as somebody who has more difficult grips either. So like there's a balance there. You can't get a 4.5 throwing all backhands and all, or I would say you wouldn't get a 4.5 for me throwing all backhand grip. You'd have to have at least three different grip varieties. And I don't think three is like a hard and fast rule for up dog. That's just my subjective, right? Concept of how many grips I would like to see if we're into that four
You're
category.
yeah, you're just showing more diversity. You're showing more skill level if
Yep.
you're able to go out there and showcase the at least three different grips along with multiple types of releases. So that was kind of an example of maybe I might be able to get a high throw placement and flight score, but maybe not a very high throw
No.
diversity and difficulty. But the flip side could also be
We see that
true.
all the time, don't we, Jack?
And I hate to say about this beginners. I'm not trying to pick on beginners, but like I
Mhm.
see this a lot with beginners because beginners are they're just figuring stuff out, right? They're just going out, they're trying it, and they see all these cool moves that other people are doing, and they're like, "Oh man, I want to do that. I want to do that."
Yep.
And I think for some reason there's like this mindset out there that like freestyle is all about like the different throws.
Growth.
And
Yep.
it is a big
That's
it's a big part
one
of it,
element of
right?
it. Yes.
Because that could help your ingenuity, that can help your showmanship and athleticism, it can help your trick score, all of that, right?
Mhm.
But it's not everything. And
Nope.
so I think a lot of teams sometimes go out and they try throws maybe that they're not ready for yet. Maybe they haven't had enough reps in the practice field in the backyard
Mhm.
or whatever. I've told this, Dre and I have had this, I've told Dre this story a couple times, but this guy who's out on the show circuit now, really great thrower now. Way back when, we're talking like 15 years ago, he was just starting out and he came out and he had all of these different throws and was just throwing the kitchen sink to his dog. But I think his dog caught maybe like 5 out of like 25 throws. And we were all like, oh my gosh, like, and also
Yeah.
to be completely honest, the rest of the routine was kind of a train wreck too,
Mhm.
because you know what happens when your dog
Yep.
doesn't catch.
Yep.
Everything
It's
else breaks down
spread
as
out
well.
everywhere. It's spread out
Yeah.
all over the place.
So, anyways, throw diversity. Updog wasn't around when we were judging this particular round, but if it was, throw diversity and difficulty could still, even though his dog only caught 5, I could still give
Yeah.
him a high throw diversity and difficulty score. But throw placement and flight would
Be
have
the one.
been,
Yeah. Yeah. And I think Yeah, I think that if you're a new player and you're practicing these freestyle throws, it might be good for the maybe if you're in your routine, let's say you have a sidearm and an overhand wrist flick and the rest of them are backhand, like maybe just pick one place where you're going to release that special throw, and then the other one, just one place where you're going to release that special throw and just practice that. Because when you get on the field, everything explodes in your brain. And unless you've done that hundreds of times, and I mean, even now, Jack, we've done it thousands of times and it explodes our brains, depending on how
Yeah.
much that event means to us or that scenario means to us. It could be a new dog or some of our last times playing with some of our very special dogs or whatever. We still get stressed when we go out on the field and it takes all the practice that we've had and throws it out the window. So as a new player, set yourself up for success and maybe just put one of those new throws in there and try it out in a competition setting. And then once you experience what that feels like, you'll be better prepared during practice to recreate it again. But if you go out there and put 5 or 10 throws in there that are maybe 50, 60% in practice, you'll be at like a 5-10% ratio. But if they're like 75% at practice, then you might hit a third of them. So if you reduce how many things you have to get perfect when you're under stress, it'll give you an easier time having success when you're first starting freestyle. There's so much to remember, and it's so stressful to go out there into music the first time, and people are looking at you and cheering for you, and you forget everything. And now you got to remember how to throw a sidearm in the wind in some direction. You have to remember even how to hold it.
Yeah,
So,
and that's another thing too, when you go out there and there's elements, wind and stuff like
wind,
that.
sun,
Now, even if you were sort of getting good with that throw, but you didn't haven't got it like mastered yet, when the wind comes into it, now it all goes to heck again. And like,
especially
it's
freestyle because it's every direction. Like I was just talking with one of my students last weekend, and she's been a games player, and now she's interested in playing freestyle, and she doesn't understand wind mechanics because when you play a game, I mean, if it's greedy, you're going all the way around. Forward play, you're going all the way around. But if you're primarily like in a station and throwing, you're really only dealing with one wind pattern the whole time. But when you get into freestyle and you start really moving, which our greedy and four-way play games are the most, I think, and Fireball too, are the most similar to what freestyle's like. You're going to get all the different wind directions on all your different throws. And so unless you have understanding of how to throw each throw in the wind, there's a whole nother thing to kind of figure out there. So that's another encouragement to, practice your up dog games in the wind and practice your different releases. We love to see that in some of those games, and that helps set you up for success for freestyle as well.
By the way, when Dre was talking about the number of times that you throw the disc in practice versus that now going out onto the field, and she was like hundreds, she said hundreds, and then she said thousands. Like she's not exaggerating.
No.
Like if you have a new throw that you're practicing, I mean, in my mind, I would practice that throw 50 times without my dog before I even brought my dog into it. Then I
Yeah.
would bring my dog into it and try to get the timing and
Timing
everything else.
right, the
And then
placement.
then
Yep.
I might realize, okay, now that I've gotten my dog into it for a little bit, I know how to adjust, put my dog back up, throw it 50 more times with my dog in
Mhm.
my head thinking about it. But like literally, you throw that you guys should be out there practicing. Get yourself like a net or something like that if you
Yep.
don't have anything else to throw discs towards that you don't have to like, walk and get them all. But yeah, you've got to have a lot of reps on some of these throws before the throws that help you out with throw diversity and difficulty will also help you out with throw placement and flight because you want to throw a bunch of cool throws, but you want to throw them well
Yep.
so that your dog can catch them. Uh, that's a big thing I always say to people in the last few seminars that I went to. Like I tell people like, the two things that I feel like pushed me up a level in my freestyle was I want to catch 90 to 100% of
Mhm.
when I walk off the field, I want my catch ratio to be 90 to 100%,
Mhm.
and I want to have presented something to the judges that they've never seen before. And those two things I feel can be super beneficial. But biggest one, honestly, is my dog catching.
Yep.
Because when your dog doesn't catch a disc, think about all the fallout that occurs.
Yep.
My dog, maybe the disc bounces, rolls somewhere, so my dog goes after it. Now my dog's not where I think my dog's going to be.
Going faster, coming in faster. They're running.
Right, right, right. So timing is off. Placement, use of field is not where I think it's supposed to be. Disc management might be thrown off if he leaves it way out in the field where he dropped it.
Yeah.
Flow is off because instead of coming back and lining up for the next trick, he's out there biting the disc or
Stomping on the disc and running circles
getting
here.
getting frustrated or whatever. So like you just think and when that happens, just you know how like you're at a casino and you pull when you pull
Yeah,
the
the
slot
stop.
machine and you hear
Yeah.
the money going, it's the opposite of that. Whatever the opposite sound of
The
that
money, the points are
is
draining. They're
right.
draining
It's
out
all
of your
my
car.
exactly. It's all my points disappearing as that happens.
Oh man. I'm wondering I'm looking through our questions and I'm wondering if we missed anything. The one thing that I was thinking about when you were just talking is I still do that at events, especially
What's
at
that?
every qualifier I go to, and certainly every world championship I go to. I'm practicing my specific out throws that day on that field to dial them
Yeah.
in. And that's twofold. One, wind, sun, conditions, just dial it in, right? Know how long you want to throw it on that field to get to the dog to the space that you want to get them to with the configuration of that field. That's the first element. And the second element, I forgot what it was. The first element was definitely
Well, let me
you jump
piggyback on
in.
that one too. Because yeah, if you go to a contest and they're like, okay, the field's open if you want to practice,
Mhm.
throwing. And maybe you're playing throw and go that day, maybe you're playing some other games, but if you're playing freestyle, like I've done this many times, people are throwing they're at the opposite ends of the field, throwing all the way down the field, trying to get their throw and go throws down. And I'm in the middle of the field going through in my head what my freestyle round would be. And like Dre said, okay, I'm going to be over here and I'm going to throw about a 20-yard overhand wrist flick. I want to practice that on that field. Meanwhile, I'm getting pelted by discs from the people on both sides, but whatever. That's,
The risk you take.
yeah, if your priority is freestyle, then go out there and practice those freestyle
Yeah.
throws when you've got the time. If your priority is throw and go, then go to the end of the fields and practice
Pelt
that.
somebody in the face. I remember what it was. My second element's confidence. So I get in my head, and I know you do too, Jack, and both of us have things that we do to manage that. But for me, it's not my inside tricks that give me stress. It's always my out throws, toss and fetch, out throws, trick throws. Those are just not my favorite thing to practice in training. So I spend less time practicing and training that. So when I get to a competition, that's going to be the thing that I'm either don't have enough intention for, and so I make a bad choice, or like if I'm not looking forward to it, like I could be anxious about it. So if I go out and throw those throws early in the day, if I throw 20, 30 of them right on the field, just over and over and over, pick up my disc, come back, throw them, throw them, throw them, throw them, pick up my disc, come back, throw them, throw them, throw them, throw them. When we're in that practice space, then when I get out there, I have the confidence because I know I dialed it into 10 throws being perfect before I walked off the field. It's kind of like an anxiety check mark for me
Yeah,
for walking on the field. So one is definitely you want to get it to the space that you want it to and the timing you want it to with the conditions you have that day. And then also
yeah.
it's for me, it's for my mental stability when I get out there. I'm less stressed if I know or I'm confident that I have a bunch of reps of throwing it well and I'm not guessing. I can access that muscle memory and just execute it.
Yeah, think about what we do for our dogs, right, to make them comfortable. If we have a dog with a little bit of anxiety or confidence levels, we make sure we get them out frequently throughout the
Mhm.
day. We walk them around the
They
perimeter
can
of the
sniff.
field.
Yeah.
All of those things. We might pull them to a corner of the field and do some like, shuffles or some little short throws and things like that. Just keep in mind, like Dre said, like we got to do something to help ourselves out too. If
Yep.
you've got confidence, concerns, or you get anxious when you go out onto the field, like a lot of those things that we do for our dogs can definitely help us as well.
Yep. Peppermint.
That and that and mint gum.
Mint gum, peppermint gum. Peppermint works great. It calms anxiety in dogs and in humans. Peppermint oil, you can put it on their collar, you can put it on their dog bed, and you can chew peppermint gum, and that helps the human also. And you can also, we've been known to put a little dab of peppermint on your shirt so that you can take a sniff of it right before you walk out in the field. Jack and I have
Yeah.
gotten very stressed over the years, and we have all kinds of cool, neat tricks of how to keep your how to like regulate your stress when it starts. Because once it starts going, man, it's really hard to deliver in that space. So, Jack, what do you think is more important for freestyle points? Throw placement and flight, or throw diversity and difficulty? If you had to pick, which one was more important?
I mean, I think based on what I just said, you guys all know what I'm going to say, but throw placement and flight, I think
Yeah.
is so much more important because of all the other things that are connected to it.
Yep.
You are going to showcase your dog's skills better if you throw really nice throws where they need them to leap and jump and catch, right? And we
Yeah.
just had this conversation about catching and what happens when you miss,
Yeah.
all those points going down the drain. So yeah, obviously throw diversity is important too. And to be honest, that is one of the most fun things about freestyle. I love trying out new throws and putting new
Mhm.
throws into my routine. So of course, I'm not saying don't do that, but I just think like what Dre said earlier about like when you're practicing putting together your sequence, don't try to go from all right, I've got no hard throws in my sequence to now
Mhm.
all of a sudden I'm
10.
replacing all of them with like hard throws. Just pick
Yeah.
one or two, practice those, bring those in, and then next season, like it doesn't even have to be next week, next season, like you can alter your routine. You don't have to change your
You don't have to
sequence up.
watch the whole thing. Yeah.
Just change your delivery of throws. Like come up with some cool, unique throws. Meanwhile, your dog doesn't care. As long as you throw it in the right spot for them to jump up and grab it, they don't care if you're throwing
Yep.
like a cool fancy throw versus a backhand.
Yep. I mean, unless they're a border collie and they're standing right next to you when you do it, and then they might be freaked out. But for most, like those jumping, spinning ones are really cool throws. Yeah. So just try to the reminder is for our dogs when we're training them to do something, we want to make small incremental improvements on their behavior. We're not going to ask them to suddenly do a running back vault if they've never vaulted before. We're going to have the dog be comfortable in our body, learn how to jump off our body, figure out where the placement is, figure out what speed and what position we need to be when we do it and all that kind of stuff. So when you're training a new behavior like a vault, you break it into tiny pieces. Same thing for throws, same thing for handler skills. I think that we are so much kinder to our dogs in regards to
Yeah.
what we
I was
expect
just
from
like I'm
them.
beginning to like think of like the WWJD
Yeah,
bracelets.
yeah.
Uh,
Be kind and slow for yourself too and celebrate little
I feel like
wins.
we
Yeah.
need bracelets that say something like, "What would you do for your dog?"
Yeah.
Then do that for
Yeah.
yourself, right?
Yep.
What would
Yeah, we don't
that
expect
wouldn't be
more.
catchy though. What they would be?
We need a new
Yeah,
acronym sticker for that
yeah. It's
too.
like that's a
We'll
lot
find
of letters on that bracelet.
too many letters. Yeah,
We'll
but
come up with something.
the point being is to give yourself the same grace and the same time that you give your
Right,
dog to learn a new skill and be able to apply it under stress. Because even if your dog knows how to flip and they just learned how to flip when they get to a competition setting, they might not take that flip because they're stressed,
right.
right? And you're going to be like, well, it was their first time competing. It's okay. We'll do it
Yep.
next time. If you go out there
I
and try
did
and do something,
that.
throw it bad, you're going to be like, I'm terrible. I should never do that again. Blah, blah, blah. You want to give yourself the same grace.
I did that this weekend. I've been working on Remix's routine a little bit, and there were a number of places where I took a little bit of a beat, like I took a little pause before I
Mhm.
went into like a vault, and I was trying to fade those and get rid of them. And
Mhm.
so in practice, I was hitting
There's a
it,
hot
and
mess, right? Yeah.
we were flowing right from one trick right into the vault, and no
Nice.
pause, nothing, boom, 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 and it was going good. And then I went out there and competition, a local
Yeah.
competition, but still, I get nervous if it's two people. I don't care. I just get
Mhm.
nervous when it's
Yep.
competition. My trigger was not as noticeable from Remix because
Yeah.
I was thinking too much about it. Other stuff was going on, new environment, and he just looked at me and didn't vault at all. He was like, "What's going on?"
Yeah. Yeah.
I had to pull him through and do the pose that I normally did to get him
To get them to do it.
to go vault. So like
Yep.
just like you said, like need those reps. We need that
Under stress.
comfortability, and it needs to be for dog and human.
Yep. Yeah. Be kind to yourself.
Yeah.
Give yourself grace. And remember, we're literally only doing this for our own reinforcement. Like we chose this sport because we liked it. We wanted to have fun. We forget that. So if it becomes like it's all about your dog, like it's not why you signed up. You didn't sign up just for your dog. You picked this sport out of a billion other dog sports because this is the one that was fun for you. So
And
remember to
because
make it
it's the
fun for
most
you too.
coolest.
Yeah, it's the best one, clearly. And and it's the best community. Updog's the best community, and we're all kind, and we want everybody to do well. So, you
Well,
gotta have a team of people behind you wanting you to have fun out here.
absolutely. And I think you nailed the new bracelet there without realizing it.
What was it?
It's 4 letters, just like WWJD or whatever.
Uh-huh.
It is BKTY.
Be kind to yourself.
There you
Oh, let's
go.
make them. I love it. I love it. I love it. We're gonna make bracelets. Be kind to yourself bracelets. Okay. Look for those at
All right.
Updiff.
We're gonna have a lot of things to hand out at UpDiff now.
Yeah. Yeah,
Let me
that's gonna
write
be my
this
favorite
down.
one though. Yeah, but write that one down, and I have you find your point sticker too.
All right.
Fun.
All right, guys. Well, hopefully we've given you a lot to think about. Hopefully we've entertained you when it might be really cold
Amazing.
outside and you've got nothing else to do but listen to podcasts. And when you hit that training room, just remember those 4 letters, BKTY. So in the meantime, while you're being kind to yourself, also,
Be kind to your animals.
and be kind to others.
Up, dog.
We will see you next time on The Sweet Spot.
Woo! Up, dog.
Ready, set, go! Yo, you heard the buzz, heard the word on the street. Up dog challenge, it can't be beat. It ain't just fetch, it's a very special game for the dogs and the people. We all shout its name, whether it's a roller or in the air. My canine companion doesn't really care. We're in the up dog zone now. Got that laser focus, making every throw an epic high flying bonus.
What's up, dog?
We're on the field, sun in the sky, with my best friend soaring, teaching that just to fly. It's the up dog jingle, so come get in the mix for the ultimate teamwork and all the best tricks. From throw and go to freestyle, we're bringing the heat. We're fun, helpful, and a friendly team that can't be beat. So if you love your pup and you love to see the disc really spin, come on down to Up Dog, where the good times begin.
Yeah, where the good times begin.